This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Thrown under the bus.
No.
Always live, always real, always unpredictable.
I'm not okay with that.
It sounded good when I thought.
Log on and join our live conversation.
Yes, I don't like that. You're 100% right.
DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It's Friday.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
July 26th. I'm here with Stephanie, Tori, Brandon. I'm Sam. Let's get right into it. We begin with a series story. Police in Washington, D.C. are searching for a group of teenagers seen on disturbing surveillance video. And a warning to our viewers, the video you're about to see is graphic and maybe upsetting to some. It shows the group of at least 10 teens brutally assaulting two men outside of a hotel.
It's bad.
Police say the teens are between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. You can see them beating and kicking one of the victims. The two men were treated for their injuries, which were not life-threatening. The incident took place on July 14th. And Tori, this took place at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And according to the witnesses, according to the two victims on the ground, they say the teens were saying, "That's him, that's him, that's him." And so they believe it was a case of mistaken identity. So it wasn't even the man they were going after.
Yeah, and there was two men, and you're exactly right. You nailed it. Mistaken identity. If you watch the whole thing, and if you're okay with it, a trigger warning. Really, this is quite violent.
Can't watch it.
Yeah, it's a good idea if you are not prone to, if you're triggered by this, don't watch it. At the end, someone tries to stop them. That person gets punched. Then at the very end, a female runs over and spits, and it's almost just the most. There's no sound, but there's so much sound. There's so much hatred. There's so much anger. There's so much a group on one person. I mean, I thought the person died. I honestly did.
I'm surprised that they didn't. So
luckily, this person has no life-threatening injuries.
So when I was living in London, not in my last residence, but the one just before, I was living in an area called Finsbury Park, and it was very much known for gang violence. And sadly, there was an estate where a gentleman walked through, and the exact same thing happened. He was stabbed over 50 times by 50 different people, and it wasn't even him. He did die.
Mistaken identity.
And because I was semi-close and overheard some of it, I had to actually leave and move to the other side of London and be under like a witness protection, because otherwise,
it's terrifying.
They attacked anyone that was in the area, anyone that could have seen or heard. It's really serious.
And these teens should be held accountable. I think we all agree on that. But I'm just afraid that this is going to be politicized. This is going to be something that's taken from whichever side you want. I'm not going to point fingers or anything like that, but I'm afraid that's going to be used to push some sort of agenda.
I hope not. I haven't seen that yet. I have not. And this happened on July 14th, so it's been a couple weeks now, and we have not seen that. And
it's more to me just a violent attack.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't come to that, though.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised considering what we've seen in the last couple of years. All right, well, the Russians targeted all 50 states in their effort to undermine the U.S. elections in 2016. That's according to a new bipartisan Senate report. It goes on to say that Russian government hackers directed extensive activity against U.S. election infrastructure and potentially identified vulnerabilities that they can exploit in upcoming elections. Meantime, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked two bills that would have directed money to states to shore up election money. So this has us asking, DBL Nation, we want to hear from you, and I want to direct this to Tori. Are you worried about the integrity of our elections, especially if we're not going to have bills to amp up the security, so to speak?
Yes, and here's why. I'm going to paint a picture for you, because it's all a bit wordy for people, right? Here's the big picture. Mueller, who is a Purple Star, Bronze Star head of the FBI, said this, quote, "Over the course of my career, I've seen a number of challenges to our democracy. This is, among the most serious. They're doing it as we sit here." Okay, so I trust him implicitly. I really do. Now, two bills today were sent. They were passed in the House. It's going to the Senate. Mitch McConnell has said, well, we've already done stuff for the election. After hearing that and hearing this study, do you really think that we don't want to have more security? It's not a huge ask. We're asking for paper ballots to have a trace. We're asking to help each state beef up their security for hackers. I think as Americans, we can all not want a foreign adversary. So he was called Moscow Mitch, and now it's trending everywhere on Twitter. And Joe Scarborough, he used to be a GOP lawmaker, says, how can you sit by when Mueller, FBI, the DNI, the CIA, military, United States military intelligence say they're trying to subvert our democracy? So this should be a unanimous bipartisan.
This is an American issue.
But I have a question, Tori, and I think a lot of Americans out there are kind of thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, so Mitch McConnell, Moscow Mitch or whatever, he said that any election security legislation the Senate takes up must be bipartisan. How do we make it bipartisan? Because we all agree we need more security.
I looked at the bill, and the real issues, the two big things are, you would get paper trails so that every single state would have a paper trail in case something went wrong with hacking. And then two, extra money for each state to beef up hacking security. Okay. So none of that is partisan. That's American.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't get it.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
I know, it really is. Chime in, DBL Nation, especially, I want you to answer that question if you believe in the integrity of our upcoming election. That's a hashtag at dbltake, and we'll read your comments later on. Well, never released photos of James Dean's fatal car crash are up for auction. The late James Dean, who was best known for films like Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden, was killed at 24 years old while driving in California on his way to a racing event in 1955. Now photos of the wreck are expected to go for $20,000. They were taken only hours after the accident and shows Dean's mangled Porsche. Does this surprise you that so many people would be interested? And
I'm surprised it's been this long, because we're talking now, 20, 30, what, I don't know actually know the same date, but many years ago. And this is really sad that this happens all the time. If we look when Princess Diana got chased by the paparazzi, there were many pictures that the royal family had to try and recover, and they were selling for millions of dollars. And so with this, I think, no, people just want to feel some kind of affiliation. They want to see what happened. I mean, James Dean was a huge, massive icon. He's one of those gorgeous, handsome, ravishing, the list goes on, young man that there ever was.
It's true.
But, people have some kind of weird
morbid curiosity.
Yeah, they want to see.
I've fallen victim to that. I used to take this road all the time from Los Angeles to where I grew up in Santa Cruz, California. When you're taking the road, it has big signs to, turn left here to go to the crash site of James Dean.
Yeah.
And I did, because, I have to admit that I'm complicit. I have a morbid curiosity. And I don't know what that is about me and other people.
But would you spend thousands of dollars? Like you would pull off the side of the road and be like, oh, this is the site, okay, and then move on.
And I do it for a prayer. I really do. When I go to any of those sites, I really do take a moment and I offer my my condolences.
Can you see decades from now the pictures from Paul Walker's crash? Can you see that going on the auction block?
I could.
Yep.
And it's sick, and I sound hypocritical.
But just to be honest, it's human, right? So we all say we can't stop looking at a train wreck or a car wreck. This is literally what that is. We can't stop looking at a car wreck. It is a human thing to be fascinated with death, with violence. We're facing our own death. So it is horrible, but it's also very scientifically human.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That's a great point.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah.
All right, well, Gwyneth Paltrow is getting, I know, Tori. Brace yourself for this one. We all know that Tori's a huge Gwyneth fan.
I thought you were going to fall off your chair then.
She's getting real about aging and what happens when you're no longer considered, quote, beautiful. The 46-year-old actress addressed the topic on the most recent episode of Goop's podcast, The Beauty Closet. Listen.
I've always felt so funny about my looks. I've been considered to be this woman,
beautiful woman.
Well, that's sort of how I've been considered. Not by everyone, but if you have this broad identity as that, like, what does it mean to get
alter
wrinkles and like get closer to menopause and all these things? And it's like, what happens to your identity as a woman if you're not beautiful?
Yeah. What does happen?
Okay, so
let's hear from Tori.
While Tori holds her head in shame. Go on, Tor.
This is so tone deaf because she's picking on a part of the human condition that a lot of women feel and just squeezing the lemon juice in there. Salt on top of salt. I mean, to say, oh, what do I do with wrinkles? I'm not effable or bang, whatever
Maybe she doesn't feel that way, though, just because she is gorgeous. And I get it. Believe me, when you hear like a Giselle or a Gwyneth Paltrow act like that. I know, but it still is subjective to her. She still has to age as a human being. So you don't buy it?
No, and I think it's stupid, and I think she's using this for a marketing tool, and I think
trying to be relatable.
And I think she's trying to be relatable yet again, and has yet again failed. This will backfire. I swear to you, this will backfire. I think it's insensitive.
So you don't think that she thinks she's beautiful? What do you think, Steph?
Oh gosh, okay, so I mean, let's be real. She is beautiful, and through different stages of a woman's life, you go through different challenges, right? So when we're teenagers, we're dealing with all our hormones.
Yep.
When you get to my age now, my body is definitely changing shape, and that's really weird. And then obviously it goes on and on and on. on. But Gwyneth is one of the most beautiful women on the planet.
is.
She knows it. So
You think she knows it?
I think she definitely knows
Why?
it. I know this because I've been to a place that she owns in Italy. I filmed a TV show there. And let's just take a little look at Gwyneth's house.
No.
This is her swimming pool.
You're lying. That is not a picture of her.
And she has pictures of herself.
That's a John Singer sergeant.
She has a few photos of herself reenacting different famous poses now.
Okay, that's not a narcissist.
One of my friends actually owns the entire hotel and property. She owns this particular section of it, and I was actually told not to take pictures. But this was 2014. It's a long, long time ago.
Statute of limitations is up.
That's her place.
But Steph, is it really that bad?
So yeah, it's kind of like if you really
It's
don't think
so
you're that, and she
narcissistic.
goes there a lot.
Narcissistic?
It's
Why?
a lot. If Steph also has pictures like that.
It's you think
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I took inspiration. That's my house in LA. There we go. You guys are. There we go. Stephanie with a pearl earring. You know, I'm embracing the Gwyneth moment. You know, I've got inspiration from the best. What can I say?
That's exactly right. You look good in the pool.
That's funny.
Oh, boy.
Wow. But the Gwyneth ones are real.
Yeah, they're real. I do not have a pool, guys.
Wow.
I wish.
DBL's live coming up. The rapper behind the song of the summer could be in big legal trouble. Details all about Lil Nas X. Plus, the stars of Hulu's TV version of the romantic comedy classic 4 Weddings and a Funeral give us all the behind-the-scenes details we can expect. And you, the viewer, are our 5th host. Columbine has become synonymous with school shootings, and its fate has been decided. It will not be torn down and rebuilt. We'll share your comments on the school district's decision coming up next.
Best Fiend.
It is your commercial break. What's going on? Did you see Stephanie's pool? I didn't think that was like. I'm okay with Gwyneth Paltrow having a couple pictures of herself in her house.
She inserted her face into famous paintings. It's super weird.
That's super cool.
Brandon, would you ever? Yes,
I
Brandon
would want
do that.
like
Brandon
a
would do that.
Michelangelo statue of me. Like, what's the one where he's pointing?
Okay.
What's the statue?
In the Sistine Chapel? Yeah.
Yeah, I would
You're
insert
Adam.
my picture.
You don't think that's a little bit hubris?
No, it's taking history. You have a
putting
house.
yourself
Yes,
in
putting
it.
yourself in history. I don't want to look at the real person who's on that picture.
I have so many things to
Sistine
say. I'm
Chapel
nothing to
or
say. All right,
whatever.
here's a
I
question
know.
for DBL
You just
Nation.
don't like. You just
I'm an
don't
art
like
history
Gwyneth
major
Paltrow.
too. Wait, come
Okay,
here.
here we go.
We need to know, would you insert yourself into famous paintings, or do you think that that is a little bit weird?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go
Yes.
around the room. David, do you think that this is it weird to insert yourself into famous paintings?
Oh yeah.
How about
that's
Travis
crazy.
With the camera, let's shake yay or nay.
Travis, shake yay or nay.
Is it weird? Super weird?
Shake,
Okay.
but you
Oh,
have to
it's not.
shake the
He would do
camera,
it.
yay or nay.
Yeah, totally.
Would you do it?
Oh, he would do it. Have
Have
horse
horse
out,
out,
man.
man. I love
Travis
it.
is a
I love
centaur.
it. We're 2 for
Wait, let me
one.
show you.
We're 1-1.
Let's
We're
see.
1-1.
Give me a pose as a centaur. Oh, that was good, Bobby. That was good. That was good. Rob, what would would you
right now.
insert yourself into a painting?
A historic painting.
Historic
Or
painting?
statue.
Yeah, but as a joke.
Yeah, as a joke.
See?
As a
Bam.
joke.
As a joke.
I don't think she did it as a joke.
No, I don't
It
think
was like
not even
Grecian
at all.
Roman remains.
We're
It was-
2-1 right now.
All right, Rosalind, would you insert yourself into a painting? Rosalind has a great sense of style. Look at her shoes today.
I would.
Look at her cute shoes today. Aren't those darling?
Thanks. I don't want to, like, I don't know. I'm
You
too
could be
much.
bought
Yeah.
with a compliment about your shoes. Tell us how you really feel.
She wouldn't. I think it's too. It's too.
It's too much. I mean, like, I'd feel full of myself maybe if I did that.
Why?
Right?
Tori's meddling with the election.
That's the
Yes.
funniest thing. Kelly.
If I had
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for 5th host when we talk about what you're talking about. An idea to tear down one of the deadliest mass shooting sites in modern U.S. history is now off the table after getting mixed reaction. Columbine High School officials thought demolishing and rebuilding would stop unwanted visitors. Just this year, 2,400 unauthorized people were on campus, some who had a dark interest in the school's past. The plan to rebuild has been dropped because the community said it was an unnecessary tax burden. So DBL Nation, do you think that the sites of mass shootings should be demolished? Take it away, Brandon.
Once again, rest in peace to all the victims of Columbine. Tammy from Facebook says, I think it should be up to the students, families, faculty who were there at the time and affected by the shooting. Absolutely agreed. I mean, this school represents a dark stain in mass shootings in schools and how we look at going to school and sending our kids to school. I say we get everyone out of there, we make it into some sort of museum, make some sort of money off of it, but
and relocate the school?
Yeah, and relocate the school, absolutely.
Well, Brad from Facebook says, I'm not sure about all buildings, but I do think Columbine should be rebuilt, especially if there are so many problems with unwanted visitors at the school even 20 years later. Brad, beautifully put. If you guys don't know, Columbine has been the scene of almost a mecca for a lot of people. We had a shooter come, a woman, and she actually was taken, she is no longer alive, but she was going to Columbine, and they put the whole Denver public school system, they took the kids out. So Columbine is a little bit different, but I will say it's totally up to the survivors. To me, these are mini ground zeros, and I think you have to be incredibly careful about messing with that, because that's the person's last moments, and the family might want that to remain.
Ashley on Facebook says, don't get rid of the building, get rid of guns. Well, we all know my thoughts on guns in America, so I think that's a lovely message. Thank you, Ashley. But what I would rather see, instead of the great cost of tearing down the building and rebuilding, we've got to think this is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'd rather see that money go to other use, like education, maybe having metal detectors in other schools, maybe paying for security guards that can be trained in these situations, and make something that's going to actually help people that are here now in school, that their lives are threatened every day.
That's a great point, Steph. Carl from YouTube says, I just don't think it's feasible to demolish every single place that's had a mass shooting. There are just too many. That is the harsh and sad reality, Carl, that we live in today in 2019. There are way too many mass shooting sites, so I don't think it's feasible nor possible. I'd rather see that the tax dollars go into beefing up security.
So make it into a museum and include all the sites in there, each wing of the school or something.
But it feels like it's so weird saying the
something to like to celebrate the lives of those of the victims, you know.
It's just becoming so much more normal.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah. I know. Well, thank you for writing in. Little Nas X is in some hot water. He might be riding that Old Town Road straight into the courtroom. Raquel Villanueva has the news at the moment.
That's right, Sam. Rapper Little Nas X was just hit with a $25 million lawsuit, all for his song Carry On, where he allegedly used a sample without permission. Now listen first to Bobby Caldwell's 1982 version, followed by Little Nas X. Now, he didn't have a record deal yet when the song came out, and Sony is also being sued for not properly vetting the track. But it's not all bad news for Little Nas X. His hit Old Town Road has topped the Hot 100 chart for 16 weeks now. Now, if it stays at #1 next week, he'll hold a world record.
Whoa.
Look at Taylor.
Record.
She's like, yay!
A world record.
I mean, when we've got, okay, I'm not saying he's not a credible artist, but when we've got people like the Beatles or the Eagles or Boston or people that
Who
Kiss,
cares?
that he's going to beat those iconic, huge names.
Oh, I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't.
It's Friday, folks.
Got my horses in the back, riding Cadillac.
Okay, I don't know if we licensed that. I don't know if we have. Coming up on DBL, 4 Weddings and a Funeral is coming to TV. We talk to the stars of the new show who tell us how it's been updated 25 years later. That's next.
Are you?
Going on, guys? Marquita Baker on YouTube says Brandon's so silly. He really is, folks. He's a really great guy. Last night we went out to Top of the Town. I don't know if you guys know it, but it reminded me of that Seinfeld moment. Top of the morning to ya, the muffin.
Anywho, I digress. It was all of Denver's best things. They shut off Larimer Street, which is the oldest street in Denver, I believe, and it has all these lights over it. And it was just food and drinks and people recognized Jeff so much from Big Brother, and I took a lot of his pictures with fans. I was fine about it. So anyway, no, I'm kidding. It was a really fun night, and Brandon's awesome to hang out with. It's just everybody on this panel is fun to be around, and it's rare that you have that in any industry, that your work friends that you have to be with are like awesome, but it's really nice to do that when you're on live TV 6 hours a day. So I'm really appreciative you said that. Jason Anderson writes in, says, my father worked with the guy at Penske who came over from Germany as the Porsche team mechanic with the Porsche mechanic who survived the Dean crash. I didn't know this. There was a guy in the passenger seat that survived, and they were on their way to a race. I didn't know that. If you look at the car, it doesn't look like anyone could survive that. So really fascinating. Election security might be the best thing to come out of Mueller testimony. Sensitivity training. I love you. I could kiss you. I hope you're right. I hope this becomes a bipartisan movement. So let's pray. 113.
Welcome back to DBL. Of course you remember the classic rom-com 4 Weddings and a Funeral starring Hugh Grant and Andie MacDowell. Well, now, more than 25 years later, it's getting the TV treatment. The miniseries on Hulu is a reimagined version of the movie, and earlier on, I got the chance to talk with 2 of the show's main cast members. Check it out in today's Chatting with the Stars. So Rebecca Rittenhouse and Nikesh Patel, welcome to DBL. I'm so excited to talk with you about the new Hulu series, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. So Rebecca, tell me what makes this version different than the 1994 rom-com?
A lot of things make it different. Obviously, we have a wonderfully diverse cast. It's more of a reimagining than the original.
Good luck, man! Love will find a way, bro! But I'll wait here just in case it doesn't.
With like how we find our partner is explored in ways that are very relevant to now, whereas I think the original film is from, it's 1994, it's of its period, and it's of a certain of society, I think.
Well, we're going to see an awkward moment at the altar. And I want to know from both of you, what's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen at a wedding?
Well, I'll tell you this story. I accidentally cut my friend's wedding cake.
Oh.
How did that happen?
Well, it was very confusing because it was like a whole dessert table. And then there was one small cake. One of the waiters was standing right there, and I said, what is this cake? Can I cut it? And he was like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
And so I cut it, and I ate it. And then the next day, I was talking to my friend, the bride, and she was like, somebody cut our wedding cake.
Did you fess up?
Did you fess up?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. I was like, oh my God.
That's hilarious.
That was me. It was really good.
And Andie MacDowell, who was in the original 4 Weddings and a Funeral, makes an appearance in the trailer. So, Rebecca, can you give us any hints about her role?
Yeah, she plays my mom. And she and I have a tense relationship at times. She's hilarious in the role and is a lovely, fun, vivacious person. It was great to have her.
Well, Rebecca and Nikesh, it's been a pleasure chatting to you both, and I can't wait to check out 4 Weddings and a Funeral, which will be on July the 31st.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
Yeah, we got a code 3232, a filthy mascara user on the corner of your little and nasty. Yeah, I said it, y'all. I'm back with the beauty police, and today we're here to let y'all little nasties know it's time to put down that nasty mascara that you've been using for 2 years, girl. Ooh, I can't even. Let's bring it back, though. Some of you may not know what I'm talking about, but I'm sure you've seen it. Now, every now and then I come across a young lady, sometimes older, sometimes younger, sometimes a man, whoever, whatever, and they always seem to have a nasty old mascara tube from 2010 that they've been clutching on to because it was that one good mascara that works. But let me tell y'all, that is wrong. Y'all are doing it wrong. I'm gonna be writing you a beauty fine right now, honey, because you're treating yourself wrong. It's just nasty. Now, you may not know, mascara is not to be sticking around for a year, for 6 months, not even 4 months. Did you guys actually know mascara is only supposed to be used for 3 months? Y'all heard me right. 1, 2, 3. Let's say it in Spanish now. Uno, dos, tres. French. Un, dos, trois. I don't know. Anyways, you can't be keeping your mascara around for that long, guys. So I have a couple tips for you. If your mascara is starting to get flaky or dry when you're taking it out the tube, it's time to go, okay? It's time for it to put it away. If your mascara doesn't make that sound when you're taking it out the tube, it's time to go. It's wet. It's not wet anymore. You're putting on dry, crusty mascara onto those beautiful, luscious lashes. What's good, girl? One last one. If your mascara kind of has to like break off a little chunk of like dryness, put it down, sis. Like, you don't need that in your life. Put that old dirty mascara down. But that's all I'm gonna say for you guys this time. Just make sure you're throwing out that mascara every 3 months and buying a new one, all right? I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to follow me at Jeray for the Slay.
Welcome back to DBL. We have to give a big DBL shout out to this college student from California. He discovered a 65-million-year-old Triceratops skull while on a dig in North Dakota with a biology professor. The student said he's been obsessed with dinosaurs since he was a kid. So it was a pretty big deal. Yeah, you can imagine.
Nothing could Triceratops that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was a good one, Sam.
Okay.
It's Friday.
Happy Friday, everybody. Good one, Tori.
Thanks,
We'll see you on Monday, same time, same place. Bye, guys.